Hello, everybody. It is time for episode 193 of the Tech Informist podcast. Sam Ventimiglia is sitting over here on my right side because Brad is getting ready, or he may already be in San Francisco. I don't know. I can't keep up with the guy's calendar. It's just, he does what he does.
He's got a very active social calendar and business calendar. You know, he's a heavy hitter now.
He is all over the place with Microsoft, and it's great that the Microsoft store loves him because he's getting to go on all these, I call them field trips, because he gets to go to
enrichments.
Yes.
Like, training enrichments. I like that.
It's like public facing, hey, we're like the face of our Microsoft store here in St. Louis. So he gets to go on a lot of those.
Hey.
Well, that's good.
He's a good man for it. He's a good ambassador. I'm glad it's, you never really know, but it seems like it's a good fit for him.
Yeah, and
so that's good.
I kind of had a feeling it was going to be, but whenever spend so much time doing car auto repair and stuff like that, you're not sure how you're going to do. Yeah.
Exactly, because when I had my old change in my job, and then I went to never working in an office, working off shifts and everything like that, and manufacturing and law enforcement, and then all of a sudden transitioning to like a regular office job, and about the most strict place you can kind of imagine. It's a bank. It took a couple of weeks to kind of get used to being in a cubicle, and I honestly didn't know if I could pull it off. Really, I was a little worried for about a couple of weeks.
Four walls. Like, I'm not in prison, but I kind of feel like it.
And it's funny because
really
it's even worse because they're like half cubicles.
Oh,
so it's not like the whole TPS reports and Blumberg kind of thing. They're like half cubes, so
you can't really like
see,
kick
but you
back.
you don't feel like you're totally closed in, but you can't really kind of get wild about doing stuff.
Or comfortable.
Yeah, it's just, and my back, and then of course for me it's even worse because my back faces the room. So for a former law enforcement official, to have your back to people is very unsettling. So the first couple of weeks, I even told my boss, I said, this thing, the circle in the air that's bright and yellow, it's got heat coming off it. What is this thing called? He's like, the sun? Yeah. Can we stop that? Because it sucks. I need it to be dark.
Can I get some shades or something over here?
I'd never seen it before. So, I can imagine. So that transition from car repair to really kind of more of a retail kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And I knew he'd be able to do it, but that transition was probably a little weird for the first couple of weeks. Just kind of, you get used to a pattern of behavior and work, and kind of know what you're kind of walking into, and you're kind of terra incognita. And then of course it's Microsoft, so it's not just some, it's a Microsoft store. It's pretty heavy stuff. It's not just like, hey, it's Bill's, chicken shack and waffles.
Right.
Yeah.
It's
so
something totally different.
Exactly.
But it seems to be going good. Everybody there seems to like him, and that's good. So things are going well. I know he's been doing good with the Xbox One X pre-orders.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
He's got like personal goals with hitting certain marks, just to like help the store.
Is it just him, or are there metrics for like the store?
There's metrics for the store, but he's kind of like determined to make sure certain stores are below them.
Yeah, he comes in with like the headband. Yeah. He's like pumping at it. He's like, getting all dialed in. I'm going to get it. Yeah, today it's going to be my day. I'm going to be the boss. Yeah, it's awesome.
So I also saw today that he mentioned that he's going to get to take a tour of the IGN headquarters.
Oh.
I was like, that's another
cool.
That's another like dream job for him.
Well, yeah, I mean, really, just anybody who's, even if you're casually a gamer, you kind of know.
You know IGN.
You know of what it is. So the fact that you can kind of walk around and check that out, that's pretty awesome. Yeah, mm-hmm. I'm kind of a little envious of him. That's cool.
Yeah, guys having some good things going. And I told him, I'm like, whenever you go out to Cupertino and all this stuff, you need to go by Google's headquarters and take some pictures with the Android statues.
Right.
It's like you have to do that.
It's like a thing.
Yeah.
We need to send an email.
Yeah.
We need to do that.
Yeah. So I was talking with him about that last week after our last recording, and I think they said they were going to consider taking like a bus tour or something around to all the different tech companies and check different things out.
I mean, well, when in Cupertino, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Do what the Cupertinians do? Is that how it works? I don't know. I never was really good at that kind of stuff. So.
But anyway, we are here to talk about technology, not just Brad's travels, because, well, he seems to get to go on a lot of these little trips and stuff here lately. So, again, kudos to him. But this week, we finally got information out on the consumer wide-scale notifications that, hey, your WPA2 Wi-Fi network connection may not necessarily be as secure as we kind of thought it was.
What? WPA2 is not totally secure.
Apparently not. Well, okay. Even though you can have up to an 8 to 63 character password.
Right.
Apparently it can still be kind of crackable and stuff like that based on like older firmware and software vulnerabilities.
Right.
thankfully, companies like Microsoft and Netgear, for just two examples, have already started rolling out a lot of their updates for this. And, Microsoft released software updates, and, for example, my Netgear Nighthawk 1900, which I think it's the R7000 model, I went ahead and just logged into the router today, and it said, hey, we got a firmware update available. So updated that, so I should be good to go with that.
Yeah, I have a Linksys router. I think it's a WRT. I think it's one of the MIMO gaming. I just thought because I just need it in my house because I don't have a lot of I'm out kind of more in a rural area, so I need as much throughput as I can. I got that one. It was like $190 too. So I just haven't gotten around to doing it yet. So I'll probably do it probably tomorrow or this weekend for sure. I'm sure Linksys has already had some kind of a
I would
patch.
imagine, between Linksys, Belkin,
the
Netgear,
major manufacturers are probably the most people. Even D-Link. That's the one I used to. When I was back, I used to have D-Link routers, and the ones I had before, just non-wireless. I had a 4-port wired one. That thing was awesome. It was like $30, and the thing was great. I loved having a D-Link router. I never had a problem out of that thing at all. So
it kind of makes me wonder, though, when it comes to companies like here in St. Louis and other areas around the country, we have Spectrum, so Charter. And, you get those modems that have the modem and wireless router built into one.
Right.
How are they going to push out these software updates and things like that to update the firmware and protect against this?
Probably not. I mean, it depends on, I know the one I have UVerse. And I believe I have to look at the manufacturer because I think that's where, even if it's an AT&T, I think if the manufacturer is more of a mainstream manufacturer for your Comcast or
Motorola,
whatever,
stuff like that,
you might actually get lucky because the manufacturers might push out firmware, not necessarily an AT&T thing. And I think at that point, probably AT&T is not going to get too hard into the whole. We got to check it out, make sure this firmware, not like a OS update. Yeah. I think they'd be like, look, we realize this is a serious vulnerability that can negatively affect a lot of our customers. So if you've got something that's from the hardware side, from the manufacturer, just push it out as fast as you can. We don't care at this point. We're just going to get it fixed. Yeah. So I don't even know. I have to look at my router. I don't even know what it is upstairs. I don't know. I want to say Motorola, but I can't confirm. I don't know for sure. I have to look at it.
Yeah. It was pretty easy to do. It just took a few minutes to log into my router from my web browser, and like I said, it just said, hey, you got a firmware update available. Would you like to do it? Yep. Would you like to enable auto updates in the future? Sure, why not?
Right.
I might not always catch every little thing. And
well, I mean, you don't pay attention. I don't, unless you're really paying, and figure the most people who are now updating their firmware because of this, that are kind of even aware that this is a thing.
That it's even possible.
If you can do it, why not set it up? And here's the thing, I would always think, why wouldn't it? I guess for reasons for, it could cause a firmware update, could cause an instability.
Could cause a problem, yeah.
So I guess maybe that's why they don't default to auto update. But I would think, in that most situations, the general public who's using it would probably want to enable an auto update just to make sure. Because usually it's the firmware updates are, they don't usually come very often. From what I understand, for routers, it's not like a 3-month cycle. It's like maybe I had one. I think it didn't update for like a year. I think the old firmware was like a year and a half.
Some of them, yeah,
because it just works. So there's really nothing they're adding. There's really nothing to squash. So if it ain't broken, don't fix it, right?
So I watched a demonstration, and you can go to crackattacks.com, and that's KRACK attacks.com. And there was actually a demonstration on here, and I watched this a couple days ago, where it showed just how the vulnerability works. And, clear as day right there, hey, there's the password and username that the person just used a fake password and username to log into a website. And there it showed clear as day that the attacker could get that in plain letters. It just totally decrypted and what it showed. So when you just see dots,
almost
they were seeing everything.
Almost like a keylogger kind of thing.
Yeah.
I haven't had a chance to watch a video. Just look at the screenshot here. It's like, it's a big deal. And I'm glad they seem like they were kind of ahead of it. So they kind of knew about this, and they kind of, I think CERT, I guess that's that. I heard about CERT. I guess it's the Computer and Communications. That's the CCS. So there's a CERT. I guess there's a group of folks that kind of get involved in that. It looks like they were ahead of it. Sounds like they were kind of paying attention to it. And I actually clicked on the link. It actually takes you to the Software Engineering Institute of Carnegie Mellon University for DH, and it's actually on the right side. It's got a DHS tag.
Yeah.
So these are heavy hitters. I mean, these are the big boys.
Yeah, so. I want to say this is who it was that found it, and they found this a few weeks ago. It's just now, obviously, whenever something is found, they let the people that need to know about it to fix it, let them know about it ahead of time.
Right.
Before they start releasing the information out to everybody to say, okay, we've got the updates ready. This is when we're going to announce that, yeah, we found the vulnerability, and here it is, and this is how you're going to fix it. So for people that don't know, WPA2 is Wi-Fi Protected Access 2, and it's just supposed to be a little bit more secure version of WPA, and there's also TKIP as well.
Right.
So this is a big thing. Obviously, it affects PCs, it affects Macs, it affects Android, iOS. It affects pretty much everything.
Yeah, I'm actually looking at the list here. I see like Samsung Mobile. They're actually down at the bottom was Tizen. If anybody knows what that is.
Wow, that's been a while since I've heard Tizen.
Yeah, Tizen, really? Yeah, I mean, Sony's in on this list. I mean, just all sorts of stuff. Now, to be fair, there are some of these that are listed as unknowns. They don't know if they're affected, but some of the big ones that are affected, I mean, Google, Intel, Microsoft, Netgear. I mean, these are huge. I mean, these are people that have hardware that's going to be affected by probably the majority of consumers. So this is Cisco. I mean, get it? I mean, the list is on there. So if you go to www.kb.cert.org, that's the website for that, and they'll have a vulnerability database, and there's
so we'll put links to this in the show notes, obviously, because this is something that everybody needs to know, and make sure you update all your devices. Right. And when you see updates, just go ahead and do them. Especially
now, knowing this is in play, if you were kind of on the fence about updating anything, and really, the way it sounded like with your router, it's something that people don't have a lot of experience updating.
No,
because probably be a little weird about it because it could look like you could really. I mean, obviously, you don't assume it's going to break your whole Wi-Fi, but it really, you said it was pretty straightforward. You didn't really require
you just said, "Hey, here's an update. Would you like to install it now?" Yes. Click, couple clicks, and it was done. And it automatically reboots your router, and
then you're ready to go.
And then it shows your updated version number of the firmware in the top right corner for Netgear's software.
Yeah.
So typically to find that out just whenever you're connected, and this can depend on your router manufacturer, but just in your web browser, just type in 192.168.1.1, and it'll automatically bring up the login asking you for a username and a password. And typically by default for routers, the username is admin, and the password is password. So if you haven't changed those, also change that.
Now for my UVerse, I remember this from before, it's 192.168.1.254. Okay. That's for AT&T UVerse. That gets into the UVerse router. So
again, always check with your, find out your model number.
And your ISP. So if you have like Charter or whatever, because I have the UVerse route and I have the Linksys on the back of that. So they're kind of bridged together.
And a lot of times that information is on the bottom or somewhere on the router.
Yeah,
somewhere.
Even if you have the model number, I think you can always do a Google search if you just have the model number of whatever. Yeah, that's how so for mine, it was a little different of an IP address, but it still gets you to the same place.
Yeah, and you can always update it via a USB drive if you're not concerned about doing it over the air.
Right. Through
the internet or whatever. Just download it to a flash drive. A lot of them have USB ports on them. You can plug them in and flash it that way.
And it's interesting. Mine says the manufacturer of this was Pace PLC.
Never heard of them.
Well, it's like, okay. That makes me feel really awesome.
Really safe and secure.
And what I mean by really awesome, I mean fantastically frightened is actually how as I would say. So, yeah. Oh, boy.
Yeah, so definitely make sure you get all this stuff updated because it's pretty important.
I agree.
Another thing also to make sure that be aware of is whenever you're going to websites where you are entering in pertinent information that's like, hey, pretty valuable stuff, make sure in the address bar that you've got the secure connection. So HTTPS before the web address. And like in Safari by default, whenever you're looking at a website, like for example, looking at 9to5google.com, it doesn't show the HTTPS. So you have to click on it, and then it shows the full actual address of where you're at.
Right.
And it shows HTTPS. So that allows you to know that you are on a secure connection to the website that you're viewing. And because in that demonstration video, it showed that the S was gone after, he enabled the hack for the demo, and they were able to get that information. So one nice thing that Google is doing with Chrome 62 that is rolling out now to Mac, Windows, and Linux is got increased, quote, not secure end quote, HTTP warnings. So it'll let you know that, hey, this is not a secure website. And this is kind of all going hand in hand to let you know, hey, you're not on a secure website, so...
Buyer beware.
Right. Be aware of what you're doing right now.
Well, I think it was funny, we were talking about this before the show. The application that I work for, this update has broken the functionality on the CAPTCHA. So when actually users go and try to self-service to get their information, they have to enter a CAPTCHA image. Well, when you go to that self-service now in Chrome, that CAPTCHA does not display.
Right.
And I guess the prod support guys had tested it because we were getting calls about it. And he said they found out what it, and it says content security warning is what, I guess he did some, stuff on his end. So this is actually has broken some functionality on our website, which is a government website. So that, involves some, tracking down and troubleshooting. So
CAPTCHAs can sometimes be interpreted as like a pop-up,
right,
in a way.
And I think that was part of it. But he was able to kind of look at it, so we had to kind of get people involved, and they're sending it up to the highest reaches of infrastructure folks because apparently it also affects other parts of that application as well. So,
and in your line of work, that's pretty important stuff.
Well, yeah, because we're dealing with serious governmental accounting application. So if people want to know how much things to get paid and how to track invoices and track government payments and all sorts of other stuff, it's moderately critical. I don't know. Mm-hmm. And again, when I say moderately critical, I mean like really, really important stuff to have on a daily basis. Yeah. So federal government and regular people need to have that information sometimes. So but it's good to have that because I think a lot of people, to be perfectly frank, this is the stuff you need for like regular users. Your moms, your dads, regular people who aren't really tech savvy. They just know they go on the websites and they go to give them a little bit increased. And a lot of people, I think what they say, what's the user participation in Chrome is like 60% or 55 or 60% of users are using Chrome. That means probably a good majority of people are going to need that. And I think it's good just to have a little, hey, by the way, just give you a heads up. This isn't exactly, like I used to do that, to give you that, you go to a warning, and if it didn't have a security certificate, it would say, hey,
this is an unsecured website.
And you don't have a certificate. We can't verify. If you want to continue, click the red X shield thing, and good luck to you. If you go to the ends of the earth, you're on your own, dude. But
we let you know.
Right. So I think that's good. It's causing some issues with other things, but overall, I think this is good for users, just for your casual folks. Yeah, for sure.
And for those of you tech savvy folks, we're coming up on the holiday season, so Thanksgiving, Christmas, stuff like that. You're probably going to get a few computer questions, and you might have to do a little tech support and update some family members' devices.
Well, of course, they're going to reach out to you. And here's the thing: if you're in that space and you already know that's coming, this is kind of like your time. You straighten your bow tie, you slick back your eyebrows a little bit, you jump in and go, okay, here I am, ta-da. Right. What kind of thing can you help me with, dear? You know that this is your time to shine. This is your go time.
This is your savior time.
This is get in and get you some. That's
hero mode.
Yeah, be there, be that guy. Because really, I always ask, do you want me to tell you how this works, or you just want me to make this work?
Right.
They just want to make it work. They don't really care about the understanding.
They don't want the explanation.
Yeah, nobody cares about that. So yeah, you already know if you're that guy, you already know that it's getting to be that you're getting close to that time frame. Absolutely.
Earlier this week, Microsoft unveiled the Surface Book 2. And there's two versions of the Surface Book 2 because now we have a 13-inch and a new 15-inch model.
The Surface and the Surface S?
Sure.
Surface the Surface 2P.
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Isn't that how everything's now? There's not just one of anything anymore. Everything's got to be this one.
Standard and a plus model.
And the standard and the plus, or the extra and the standard, or the deluxe or the premium and the whatever. It's like, I'm glad but I mean, really, it's just everything now. So I'm glad they have, because I have the original Surface Book. Still use it, bought it last year. I love it. So, of course, this puts me out of this. I'd like to get one, but then I saw the 15-inch one. I saw the spec list pretty good, but I saw at the bottom of that spec list, they always have that thing. What do they call those things where,
Talking about like the price?
Yeah, the stuff that actually is really going to matter to you. Like when I see how much of a dent it's going to put in my pocketbook.
Well, it may not necessarily matter to you, but maybe your significant other.
No, it matters to me. I'm cheap. No, I'm pretty bad. So no, it was like, it's $24.99. Oh boy.
Yeah. No, that's for the 15-inch model.
Right, and that's the starts at. Now, granted, the spec sheet's great, but oh boy, that's going to put a sting. Now, and the 13-inch, be fair, is starting at $14.99. Still on the high end of computers, on laptops, if you're looking at it. I mean, but really, if you're in this space and you're looking at a Surface, you kind of know that
you know what you're getting into.
This is not waters that you know are a little bit warmer than normal. This is not your.
It's their premium device,
right? And this is not you're not your $500 Lenovo from a Best Buy you're going to be getting into some pricey territory. So,
visually it looks very similar. So if you're familiar with the Surface Book as it is, you're not going to be kind of too, whoa, what's this? To me, it looks very similar.
Similar is putting it kind of lightly. Actually, from the picture I see on the website here, it looks exactly the same. I mean, it's almost the same footprint. I'm almost be willing to bet if I actually had, like the UAG, like a case for it. I wonder if it would fit because I don't obviously. It's a little different size, the 15, but I mean, as far as aesthetically, the Type C, that's different. I know but as far as the physical size, it looks pretty close, pretty spot on. So,
you got the D brand skins and stuff like that.
Yeah, I got my D brand skin because, as you won't be able to tell, but I actually dropped a phone on it and it actually put a dent in the top of it.
I actually can see that.
Yeah, and I thought, well, maybe if I got the skin, I'd cover it. Yeah, not so much. I was getting my phone out of bed and I reached over and it just fell out of my hand and the corner just hit the top and I heard it go thud. And I was like, ooh. And I thought, well, that's not too bad. And of course it's aluminum. So it was, a pretty good sized dent. Oh yeah, it took it
it's
right
in the back. It's a good thing that it didn't damage the display from behind.
Honestly, at first I thought it kind of did because it felt not far, but right on the corner. So, but yeah, and also just it's real prone to scratches. And when it comes to me, I have a tendency to not be really
gentle.
No, because what the hell? Why? there's no reason for that kind of stuff. I don't throw it down the stairs or anything. But as far as surface scratches, so it was starting to. And I also just wanted kind of a little bit of a different color. So I
see what you did there with that surface scratch.
Yeah. Yeah. Just covered it up because, that's all good. But no, they look good. And the spec sheets are, especially on the 15-inch one, you're rocking, a Core i7, a 4.2
gigahertz, and it's like a quad core.
Right.
So it's not dual core, which is the thing with the Surface Book 1 was dual core CPUs.
And it still has a 3.2, but since it's got obviously the bigger screen, you're going to have a 3240 by a 2160. A little bit, still 3.2, which personally I really enjoyed on having my Surface Book. I like the 3.2. Mm-hmm. 16 gig of RAM. Why not? Since you're in Russia, right? Have 16 gig of RAM.
Yeah.
The one that really kind of caught me was it's rocking a 1060 GTX.
Right.
In a Surface Book. That's pretty cool. Terabyte of storage. It looks pretty good. The specs are on this here, and I will tell you the things I really enjoyed about my Surface is sound quality has really always been pretty good. Mm-hmm. Now, say they said about the Surface laptop, what did the sound was coming out of the actual keyboard itself. They said it sounded really good. I've never actually heard one. Maybe Brad
I haven't either.
They said the sound quality is really good. I'm kind of a sound guy. I like having that. So I'm excited. If you're on the fence or if you're maybe rocking an older like a Surface Pro 3 and you were looking to maybe get more of a laptop-y thing, mm-hmm. I've loved mine. I take it the top off and I write on it. I actually had an accounting class this semester. I didn't even write anything on a piece of paper. I really just took the display off, rotated it, and used the Surface Pen and just wrote all the notes in one.
That's what it's for.
And that's what I did. And it was exactly why I bought it, and it worked. It worked flawlessly. And so I'm not in the market for one. Yeah, because if I come home with a $2,400 laptop, I'll have to come live at your house because I won't be able to live here anymore. My wife will absolutely murder me on the spot.
8th generation Core i7.
Nice.
Cable 8 processor.
Yep.
Where if you go over to the 13-inch Surface Book 2, it's the 7th gen Core i5 at 3.2 gigahertz.
Right.
And then also the same Core i7 CPU is available in that one. And on that 13-inch, you can get either 8 gig or 16 gig. And kind of as you mentioned there as well, on the i7, you can get the NVIDIA GTX 1050 with 2 gigabytes of RAM on that. And it's just all like built-in graphics on the i5. It doesn't have any discrete graphics on there.
Right. No extra card. Well, you figure, that's just what it is. You got your 13 inches for the regular folks that want to get into the Surface Book and not kind of go crazy. And then you got the people like
the power users.
Right. Or the gamers that actually kind of never really looked at a Surface Book. And I think that's part of the reason why maybe I think Microsoft is going, we need to kind of get our sales up. What do we got to do? We got to appeal to, plus you got that the Alienware you've always had. Mm-hmm. There's a couple of other players, Razer, although I think Razer's still kind of high. That's still a high-end computer. Yeah. But there's another one, I want to say, is it MTI? There's another gaming computer that it's pretty reasonably priced in that $1,300, $1,500, $1,700 neighborhood.
A little more respectable pricing.
Yeah, for a gaming laptop especially. So I think it's nice that they have the option that's having the SKU for people if they kind of want to go off the deep end and kind of get into some little bit more power user stuff, that it's available. But if you don't need that, you can still get the hardware and still kind of, that's what I did. This is an i5. I didn't get the i7 because I didn't really need it for what I was going to use. I think it was good enough. So, and I just couldn't cost justify the extra costs.
Yeah. Storage options are 256, 512, and 1 terabyte, and that's across all 3 versions. Let's see then. Like you mentioned, there's also the Type-C with a video USB port, which has power in and out, and USB 3.1. There's still a full-size SD card reader. That's great. On the 15-inch version, you can get Xbox Wireless built in.
Cool.
So that's cool. Again, for you gamers.
Right, because I have the dongle for my Xbox. The only thing, I've tried to use it, and it works pretty good, but every once in a while, like I was playing Overwatch a couple of times, and all of a sudden it would just like, it was like the controller peg was like pegged to the right. It would just like stay. So... Yeah, I don't know. I don't know
whether it's some kind of connection interference.
Yeah, I guess or something. But it would just kind of like, and there was no way to clear it. Like I'd have to turn I'd have to shut down the connection. But other than that, the connection and the latency really wasn't bad. Actually, I was kind of comfortable sitting in my bed with my Xbox controller. But of course, now I have to, push in the little wireless controller. But that's kind of nice. It's built in, which is kind of cool. Again, for gamers, really, is what it looks like. That's a gaming setup, really, is what it sounds like.
So obviously, these are designed for portability. So if you're concerned about the weight of these devices, the i5 13-inch combined is 3.38 pounds. The i7 total combined is 3.62 pounds. That display, if you pull off for tablet mode, 1.59 pounds. So that's not too terribly bad.
No.
If you step up to that 15-inch, the total weight is 4.2 pounds, and the tablet by itself is 1.8 pounds. So not terrible.
No, not at all. And like I said, when I use the tablet, you're not going to really. You could be carrying it, but anytime I was using my tablet in school, it was on a desk, so really the weight was kind of really not nominal. Yeah, like I said, it looks good. Like I said, I really wish, but no. I mean, I have to hold off this round. So
13-inch starts at $14.99, and as mentioned before, 15-inch starts at $24.99. So a $1,000 difference for 2 more inches of display. Pre-orders are open on November the 9th, and availability starting November 16th.
So if you're in the market, I can tell you just from a personal experience, if you're looking at a computer and you are thinking about giving a Surface, I've had some really good experience with it, so I can recommend it. But again, your mileage may vary.
Yeah.
So and if it doesn't work, don't blame me.
Speaking of recommending, this kind of would fall a little bit into like a weekly rant, which we haven't really done. We haven't done much, and I think that could really be a fun segment.
I think we need to rectify that now.
Okay, let's do that. So this week's rant of the week is directed at Consumer Reports. Now, the majority of people, well, if you really want to read what Consumer Reports says about things, either you've got to like buy their magazine. They're like, I think they put out like a monthly magazine or something.
Magazine,
like that.
The things are actually in print on a shelf.
Yes.
They still have that kind of stuff.
I think so, yeah.
I think so. I've seen them at bookstores, but
Or you pay for their subscription on their website. And I don't think the great majority of people, like 40 and below, I think there's certain things we might look at. I don't necessarily think we will look at them for like tech devices, cars, appliances, stuff like that.
Yeah, like your washer and dryer, your refrigerator. Maybe. I would almost hazard a bet that most people under 35 don't even know what Consumer Reports is.
Right. Yeah, like you were mentioned before.
I think
go walk around the mall and ask 100 random people, what do you think of Consumer Reports? Do you use them, or do you feel they're reliable, etc.? Most will be like, what's that?
Well, and it's because I think part of it was because now with the advent of review sites and the internet and YouTube, you can look online and really even when research was a big thing back in the day with Consumer Reports, I don't even think, even when I was in my 20s, like the mid 90s and stuff, I don't remember ever even looking at that even to buy anything. I would just say, hey, you go to the shop, hey, it's a Maytag, hey, it's a Whirlpool, obviously, get what you get. Or you get what your parents got. I'm sure some people do. So, and I know last year, I think they switched. I think at some point they were or they did not recommend it at all, or they recommended it and then flipped it. I wasn't exactly sure how the old Surface Book was done.
Okay, so the way that Consumer Reports handled the Surface Book and stuff like that was the fact that obviously most people that are listening to this might be aware of the fact that Microsoft had some firmware issues with some of the like Surface Pro 4s and the Surface Book. So they took a little while to get a lot of these little issues rectified. Well, Consumer Reports just immediately just jumps in and they base it on firmware and stuff like that as is while they've got it in lab for testing. So they said they were just not going to recommend the Surface Pro 4 or the Surface Book.
Right.
And even though they do not even have the Surface Book 2 in hand in lab to be doing their quote-unquote extensive testing, they are already saying that they're not going to recommend the Surface Book 2, and I think that's pretty asinine.
Yeah, and it's, again, like I said, I read it here, it says they had the rating was stripped. So it seems like apparently at some point, but I mean, it's like, here's the thing, anybody who was buying a Surface Book, I knew when I bought mine that it's fairly new hardware. I mean, this is something that they're trying, especially the Surface Book. Their Surface Pros had been out for a while, so it wasn't that bad. But anybody buying a Surface Book, it's like buying a completely new car. You know, there hasn't been a lot of test track. They haven't really gotten in there. You know, they can test it so much, but until you get to real world conditions, you're not really going to see things like failures, transmission failures, you know, steering issues, you know, blinker lights that overheat, and then recalls. So I think if you were buying any kind of new hardware that's kind of new, you kind of almost knew that there might be some issues, and you kind of took it. And I think most tech people that are tech savvy know that going in. Like when I bought my Surface, like I knew it was going to be like, okay, and I'd already read the reports. People had issues where it wouldn't power down, or when they shut the clamshell, it would stay power or overheat. So I knew that going in.
And issues with the connection.
Oh yeah,
putting the tablet
dock
to the base
itself. Yeah, the actual connection there, that some of those would fail. But I mean, you'd just go get a new one. I mean, if it was, you know, I got a 2-year warranty, so if the thing broke or if it overheated and it melted, I'd just take it into a Microsoft store and they would replace it. Is it a hassle? Yeah. So I just don't think it's very fair. And I from what somebody was telling me is their testing metrics are a little kind of not really specific. They're kind of almost anecdotal or really
just more general and broad across the base.
Like, we had a bunch of returns on these. Well, did you really? And then when they were challenged by Microsoft or challenged and said, hey, well, let's see what you have, and so we can address them and encounter. They're like, yeah, no, we're not going to give that to you. So I don't know.
It's overall ignorant.
Yeah, it's just shady. I don't like that. And so, like I said, honestly, to be perfectly frank, I really could care less what Consumer Reports says, because, you know, when I bought mine, I think this was coming out, and I was like, I don't care, I'm buying it anyway.
It does make you wonder too. Do you think maybe other companies may, be paying a little cash their way to say, hey, why don't you give us a little preference in your ratings and help us sell some more?
Well, I mean, yeah, I agree. I think that does happen. Sure.
A little bias.
Well, here's the thing. Hasn't that always been the accusation with game manufacturers? Like with games that would come out that were maybe not 100% review worthy, or they would maybe get a 6.5 on, like, Gaming Monthly or whatever. They'd say, hey, Ubisoft, let's kick you a couple extra. So that's been the complaint for years in the gaming space, that articles and magazines and reviews would purposely take money, literally be bought off to give a good review of a game when in fact
didn't deserve it.
It didn't deserve it. I mean, that's always been the kind of, like, that's been years of, it's really since game reviews have been a thing, that's always been the kind of knock on that industry, that, man, I think that maybe these companies are, I mean, why wouldn't they? I mean, here's the thing I always told you, the money is the motivator here. And if they're willing to outlay a couple of $1,000s or $50,000 or whatever to a company to get a really good review on something, so I think it could work on counter. If Google or Apple goes, hey, this new competitor's coming out, is there a possibility you can start kind of getting a little bit more critical and maybe kind of looking at the flaws? And maybe, yeah, I would not surprise me. Let's just put it that way. If that was a thing, would not shock me in the least.
Well, hopefully they have a change of heart and, in my opinion, wisen up and just give them a legit chance and say, hey, we have taken whatever issues we had with the original Surface Book that may not have been fully rectified. We think we've got this one taken care of. Yeah,
I think they will. I think eventually, I just think it's kind of one of those deals where they have to kind of prove themselves, and But yeah, I think it just seemed patently unfair. But at the end of the day, I don't think it was as critical as it would be maybe 25 years ago when Consumer Reports was more kind of a known thing. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like Farmer's Almanac. You know, you kind of know what it is. It's still there, but does anybody actually even read it? No.
Right.
And
I'm not going to go to the drugstore or whatever, buy a Farmer's Almanac because I'm curious.
I'm going to the apothecary.
What the weather's going to be on my birthday in 2018.
Right.
I'm not that worried about it.
It's still a thing and it's still there, but I think that's just one of those things. I think 25 years ago, this could have been a lot more damaging if we were in that time frame.
Yeah.
Nowadays, I really think most of the people who are either buying computers for themselves or who are buying these computers for their students, college, or this is your first computer, you're 23, you're on your own, here's your first. I don't think they're honestly looking at Consumer Reports and goes, well, honey, I was going to buy that Surface Book, but gosh, this consumer, I don't think anybody in their 40s or younger could even care less about consumer
People
reports.
aren't going to just walk into the Microsoft store and not buy that because they saw something on Consumer Report. They're not even going to look at Consumer Report.
Right, because who's going to pay the... And here's the thing, you know how it goes. If it ain't free, nobody's probably going to do it.
Right.
Yeah, and I know every time I try, it gives you like 3 sentences of it and say, you want to read the rest of this article about how crappy this thing is?
Right. Sign up for our subscription.
Exactly. I think that I would get a lot more worked up about this, but the fact that I think that it's mitigated by the fact that Consumer Reports really isn't a thing anymore, it's still upsetting, and I still think it's kind of unfair. Because, and again, if it was more scientific about the returns and everything and the failures, it wouldn't matter to me. Because, like I said, I've had people tell me that things are junk, and you get one that works great. Mm-hmm. Then I've had people say, this thing's awesome, and I had 14 people recommend it, and then all of a sudden I get one that's garbage. I think that's broke, the screen's cracked, it doesn't work right. So, it's whatever.
I know. I always find that funny, and I don't mean this to sound like arrogant or whatever, but me and a few other people might have the exact same hardware and they'll always have problems with it and mine will just always seem to work fine. It's like, how am I always just getting these pristine or perfect working pieces of software?
And they get to the point probably like, don't even ask Kevin because he's just going to tell you his is working and just going to make you more mad. You're going to want to break it over his head is what you're going to want to do.
His works.
He's like, my these don't work. He's like, mine's good. I'm all good. We hate you, Kevin. We hate your face.
I don't know. It's just always weird.
Yeah, it's just the way it goes. What can you do?
We'll have the exact same phone that we're having issues, and the only thing I can say is user error. I don't know.
It's PEBCAC, right? That's a PEBCAC. Yeah, what are you going to do? So, yeah, speaking of failures and breaking and accidents, what's this thing with Verizon?
I like what Verizon is doing here. Now, obviously, this is probably just something that they're rolling out there to try to get more sales, more money, and stuff like that. But they're rolling out something called Total Mobile Protection, which is supposed to say goodbye to cracked screens and some other hardware issues. That if you'd like to pay Verizon, you can pay them $11 a month for smartphone protection. And what that's going to allow you to do is get a screen replacement for like $29, I think. That's pretty good.
Yeah, it's very good considering the ones I've had before were like $200 for, I guess.
Yeah, I would hate to see what it would cost to pay somebody to replace the display on your Note 8.
No, I don't even want to think about it. That's why I hope I never drop the darn thing.
There's an awful lot of glass there on the front and back.
Because I honestly would rather go naked with it or you have a D-brand skin.
Oh, God.
Here's the funny thing. I thought about that. I was thinking about that the other day, and I got out of my car, and I had my phone on my leg, and took it off, and went to put it in my pocket, and it missed my pocket, slid right down. Not only fell from knee height onto the ground, but I know if I didn't have this case on it, it would have cracked. I know it would have. And I was like, ugh. So I have those moments like my Lumia when it slid down the driveway 40 feet on its screen if I had a case on it. And it's funny because I had just taken the case off like an hour before that happened too. Like an idiot. So anyway, but yeah. It's for $29 you can't beat it. You almost kind of, well, I'll tell you this, if I had this setup going on, I wouldn't probably worry that much about it. I probably would rock it naked.
Yeah, you'd be
because I figured if I'm only out $30, well, I mean, I don't want to be out $30, but that Sting. Now I know if I had AT&T because I think they used Assurant or some other kind of third party, it was like $200 for the deductible. I'm like, well, I can almost buy an Android phone for $300. It's like, why? Yeah, but for $29, I would probably, if I was using a Verizon device, I would go with this and just go naked. I wouldn't put a case on it or nothing.
Yeah, it's just knowing, well, I'm already spending $11 a month, so I'm already kind of paying for the replacement that I'm inevitably feeling that I'm going to be getting.
Right.
So I'm going to have some kind of an issue, and I'm not really that worried about it. So.
Well, plus, let's say, I mean, when was the last time you actually dropped and cracked a phone? Or dropped it in the water, like dropped in a lake or a toilet or a tub or something.
I've never
like that.
dropped it in water.
Neither have I.
I have dropped my Nexus 4 on concrete on its back. That was at least back in 2012, 2013.
So you would say within the last 4 years, you haven't had anything drop. No, neither have I. I mean, except for the Lumia sliding down the driveway. It didn't even fall. It just slid. So you figure they're going to get $11 a month out of us. So that's what? 100 and something bucks a year, 125, $30 a year.
And not have to worry about a claim.
Right. And then they're out, so that's the whole point of insurance. If they get everybody on board, they might have a drop. Let's say they have a 10% a month drop rate. Well, that's nothing.
Yeah, what they do.
Yeah, you got people, especially on these other plans, they have a family plan or a combined, it's $33 a month, so it's $9 a line. I mean, heck, if you only have 3 or 4 phones and they never drop them, or you don't have kids that drop the phones every time, that's basically just another revenue stream for Verizon, and I'm glad they're offering it, which is nice, but it's not like, they have a 50% drop rate. Well, like if I have it within a year, I'm going to have a 25 to 50% chance of drop in my phone. I think that, but it's nice. I wish AT&T would offer something like that. And I think what's good is this is in play.
Other carriers will begin to do that.
Yeah, Big Blue will get
obviously
involved.
It's how it always seems to go.
Right.
And that multi-device plan that you can share 9 claims on up to 3 eligible lines in 1 year with no need to register your lines until you file a claim. And if you want to protect more than 3 devices, like for example, the family plan that we're on with my dad, we have 4 lines. So we would be spending $9 extra on top of that. So it'd be $42 a month for the 4 lines, which is still, it's like $2 less than the individual smartphone plan.
But still, I mean, you can't really... Why would you not? It almost frees you from the worry of having to worry about if I drop it in the water. Now, obviously, with a Note 8, I'm not going to worry about immersion in water because if I drop it.
Right, it's got
IP68.
Yeah.
So I'm worried. But I mean, as far as drop protection, especially with a glass back phone, yeah, absolutely. That's all the reason I would worry about is really for the drop protection, really.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, that's the biggest issue the majority of people have is cracked screens.
Right.
I mean, we all have seen so many different iPhones and other devices with shattered screens and shattered glass backs.
My daughter had a party. I had picked up 3 of her friends. They all had iPhones. They all were broken, and the one actually had chunks out of it, like where the earpiece was. I'm like, you put that up to your ear?
Right.
It's like open glass. You're gonna cut your. But they
kids don't talk. They text.
They Snapchat.
Yeah.
No, they Snapchat. It's not even text. No. It's Snapchat. That's the thing now.
That's all it is.
That's all it is. And it's unbelievable. I sat there and watched all these people, these kids, and I say kids because they are 16, 15, 14. Yeah. Snapchat. That's the thing now. It's nothing about text messages. It's so 2014, Kevin. You need to get on board.
Well, Google is also doing something else where you really don't have to get on board if you want to kind of look at planets and their moons, because they've updated Google Maps on the computer and the web browser to be able to kind of explore planets and moons just right from the safety of your own couch. That's kind of cool.
I'm going to sound stupid. This is absolutely awesome to me.
It is.
I think it's fantastic. And you can sit there and like Europa or Io or Ganymede or a moon or any one of the major planets and sit there and actually have, like, you can actually, look at craters and everything. It's phenomenal. I was, when I saw this, I actually was like giddy. I just want to go, I just want to go and do that. I want to just look at a moon just because. I don't know. I think it's fantastic personally.
So this is kind of 20 years in the making, because 20 years ago, the spacecraft Cassini launched from Cape Canaveral on a journey to uncover the secrets of Saturn and its many moons. And during its mission, Cassini recorded and sent nearly 500,000 pictures back to Earth, which allowed scientists to reconstruct these distant worlds in unprecedented detail. And now you can visit these places along with many other planets and moons in Google Maps right from your computer. All you got to do if you want to try this is just zoom out away from the Earth until you're in space, and there you go. And Sam's like doing a live demonstration over here. So
yeah.
He's like trying to check it out.
No, I don't.
Look what he did. Oh, no.
Oh, my gosh. My life is over. Okay, here we go. What do you think? IO. Let's go to IO.
Yep.
That sounds like a cool one.
So it's pulling it up. There it is.
IO.
So zoom in a little bit, spin it around, just like you can do with the Earth.
Drop it up.
Ooh, what's that?
It looks like I think it's a mountain.
Kind of looks like the red dot on.
Yeah, it's a large mountain with a reddish kind of pink
orange,
ring around it. And then this black, dark nightmare here. I don't know what that is. It looks scary.
So I'm sure if you get in there and just kind of like with Earth, you can set it to have different levels of like descriptions and stuff like that.
Right, they got International Space Station. I mean, get out of here.
Oh, wow. So it's like you're looking...
Yeah, looking down at the Earth from the inside of the station. It looks like it's a 3D view.
Yeah, it's like a whole completely 360 view of being inside the space station.
And see, then they wonder why I don't get work done. And then they wonder why my boss is like, hey, man, why are you not getting this done? I mean, can you...
dude, come look at this.
Can you imagine showing somebody this like 35 or 40 years ago?
Oh, God, no.
Can you imagine how blown away they would be? They would think that's some like next generation stuff. I mean, it's incredible. It's just incredible. I think it's cool. I mean, if you have any free time and you just want to kind of do it. And
this right here, what you're doing is a great reason why you would want to have a Surface Book or a Surface Pro. Because all the touch screen and all that stuff.
You know what's funny? Because now I get at work and I touch my screen all the time.
Right.
It's like, and here on this one, actually, this is...
It's got a lot more things labeled.
Yeah, it's got some. I guess they've decided to label craters or spots. This is. I don't even know what this is. I think this is. I don't know how to say it right. Iaptus, sure. IAPtus, whatever. But yeah. Anyway, but it's actually this one's got a little bit more detail, and it's actually got labels on stuff. I guess they have craters and spots that are actually labeled with stuff. It's just pretty. It's pretty wild. If you want to check it out, I'm already just checking it out a little bit.
Yeah,
and you can kind of see. Yeah, it's pretty wild. I have to admit, I'm getting a kick out of that. Google Maps, not just for looking up where to find your local grocery store anymore.
Exactly,
right?
Yeah.
In case you want to go shopping on Ganymede or something.
Recently on another episode, Brad and I talked about Google releasing the upcoming Pixel Buds, the wireless earphones that you can play to kind of try to help compete with Apple and their AirPods.
Apple and their AirPods.
AirPods.
Both of those.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Google is now warning you not to cut the Pixel Buds cord because there is a cord that goes between the two that helps connect them and kind of make it a little easier that, like with AirPods, if one falls out of your ear, it's just going to fall out and the other one's going to stay in your ear.
Right.
And you could possibly lose that one. Well, with these Pixel Buds, you don't have to worry about that because the cord there is going to help keep the other one in your ear and the other one from falling on the ground. But Google says don't cut that cord because it actually sends...
I think it's power, right?
Yeah, some power and stereo portion to it. Power and audio signals. So do not cut it. The warranty will be voided if you do.
I think they should... Just a purely thing. I think they should call it PUDs. Pixel Buds? PUDs. I think so. I think it'd be cooler. That's what I'd call them. I'd call them PUDs because I don't think Bixel doesn't sound right.
Yeah.
Sound like Bixby. No, PUDs. What you got in your ear? These are PUDs. I don't want to know. Don't even tell me.
Don't even want to know.
I don't even want to know who came up with that idea. I don't know. But yeah, they look pretty cool. To be honest with you, I don't think this is something I would... It's like the AirPods. I wouldn't get those.
Yeah.
I have a pair of like Beats, and so whatever. It's okay. But so don't cut it. If it's there, probably leave it there. Or if you cut it, then you'll find out the hard way.
Yeah.
It's probably not going to be covered under warranty either.
Right, that'll be your $150 to $200 just flush.
Is that how much they're talking about?
Yeah. They're going to be competitively priced with the AirPods, I believe.
I thought they were closer to like $240 for the AirPods. I guess no. I don't.
No,
I
they're
never
like $150 or something like that.
Oh, okay.
Up to $200.
They work. Have you ever used any? Or
I have a few friends that have some, and I've tried them out, and they're actually a little bit more comfortable.
Right.
The more I use the earbuds that came with my iPhone, the more I guess I'm becoming a little bit more comfortable with them.
Okay.
To the point that I'm probably going to buy a set of AirPods here in the not too distant
future. I'm worried
future.
because since they're one size, they don't have like you don't actually.
There's no.
I have small ears. I mean, like ridiculously small for an adult male. It's really kind of embarrassing, actually. And I've used the Apple. Now, granted, they were the old circular ones.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, those things are... I don't know who in their right mind... I guess that's some sadistic guy in Cupertino was like, let's do this. Because I don't think anybody's ear fits. I mean, they fit nobody's ear. I mean, I think it's like, let's... So mine are small, so that's why I had to put the little tips on them, the smallest tips about, and they fit fine. So I don't know. I guess I'd have to try them out, but I guess the sound quality is pretty good.
The sound quality is pretty amazing.
Really?
I mean, even on the wired ones that come with the iPhone, they sound really good.
But they only match to an iPhone, right? or can you use them for any Bluetooth?
Well, AirPods, you can use them with Android devices as well.
Really?
You just don't get like full functionality.
Oh yeah, but I mean, as far as the actual sound, you can still use them and pair them correctly. Okay, yeah. I mean, I see a guy at work had them, and which is weird because I couldn't see him because he had one in because he was facing the elevator, so I couldn't see him. He's kind of moving his head. I was like, what's wrong with this guy? And I look, and he got off the elevator on the floor ahead of me, and I was like, oh, and he had you can just see the little tip of it sticking out. I was like, oh, AirPod, okay.
That is kind of what is nice about that. You only have to have the one in if that's really all you want.
Right. Well, that's what you see kids do. I mean, they always, because they got to listen to you yell at them, so they got to have one hanging out. So my daughter will have the one on the far right, and then one open, so when I go to, hey, stop that, she'll respond to me.
Hear you.
Yeah, exactly. So... yeah, that's pretty good. Just don't cut your pixel, your PUD cord. Just don't cut your PUD cord.
Cords, there we go.
I'm just going to keep it. I'm just going to go with it. I don't care.
So for those of you who still like to keep nude photos of yourself or your significant other or other people that you meet and on the street or whatever.
Because just take pictures of fine. Hey, I mean, I've read this article in here. I can't believe... I understand it's a thing. I got it.
Yeah.
I got it. But... oh boy! So let's talk. Tell me about this situation.
So this new application is going to be available, obviously, first on iPhone. Is called Nude. That's just simply what it's called. It's a next generation photo vault that uses artificial intelligence to hide your sensitive photos. So what it does is that it'll scan the photos on your device and will like flag them for nudity and kind of puts them in like the nude vault or whatever,
right?
That you would then have to have like a password or something to get into that application on your phone, so that, and then it like removes it from your device, but it keeps it in this vault thing. But it supposedly will not send them back to the developers. That's the thing that worries me the most about this.
Why? If you were and here, did you see who the developers were? Read the article and see these.
But they're Americans.
I understand that, but look at I'm not talking about their nationality. I'm more talking about the age of these kids. And when I say kids, again, I'm 42, so I can say it. You're old enough to know.
It's a male and a female.
Right. And they're how old?
21.
Yeah, right. Because that's not going to them. Right. Okay. I'll tell you right now, if I was 21 and I was developing an app, I would absolutely, because you figure you're going to have a pretty awful return rate. You're going to say probably most people, if they're regular folks, amateurs, what are you thinking about? 15% are decent. The other 95 are just awful.
Yeah.
And you don't want to. So, you know what I mean? But I understand. I got it. It's a guy and a girl. I never feel. Again, remember what my rule to my daughter is about secrets. Mm-hmm. Secrets or anything. Here's the rule about a secret. If one other person knows, it ain't a secret no more. And if these guys have an app, then you can say, well, we promise we won't send it to you. Right. Sure you do. I'm not saying they are. I mean, they're totally probably normal people. But I don't know. It just, again, it's like one of those things where if you're going to take a nude picture of yourself, you might as well just broadcast it because it's going to eventually get out there. Now, nobody cares if this look at me or you or I or anything, but, I mean, we're not famous yet. I mean, yet. Some of us are working on that, but whatever. Yeah.
So it scans your photos in the background, and then you will need to manually import any sensitive amateur films that may be on your camera roll.
Please, God.
And when the app finds what it believes to be nude photos, it then moves them to a private pin-protected vault inside the app. Like I said, it monitors the camera roll in the background, and once it sends you the confirmation dialog, the app then deletes any sensitive files that it finds, both from the camera roll and from iCloud, because that's, back when all the celeb stuff was coming out in 2014.
Right.
A lot of it is because of, the people's iClouds, people guessing their passwords and user information to
or just
get in
brute
there and
force
access
hacking it probably. Yeah. So, well, yeah. I mean, there have been apps for this for years. That says, and I've known of a couple, because I've seen them. Like Photo Locker or something. I mean, I don't have one on my phone because I don't take pictures I need to, But I know I've seen them in the store. They like Photo Locker or whatever it is, and they're free or whatever. So, I mean, this just looks like it kind of automates it a little bit more.
Yeah, so. The Nude application, it just feels weird saying that. The Nude application uses the device's front-facing camera to take a picture of anyone who tries to guess your in-app PIN and fails. So, for example, if... heaven forbid, you're a teenager or something and you got this on your phone.
And you got, yeah.
And your, parent checks your phone or whatever and sees this app on there and punches in your PIN number or whatever wrong. It's going to take a picture of whoever looked at it.
Well, here's the funny thing. I understand that, but I guarantee if I brought my daughter in here right now and said, give me your phone, I know the PIN. I know the FIN.
You're right.
And she's 16, and that's what you do. So, I mean, I'm not trying to say what people should do with their kids. I'm whatever. I just do what I do with my kid, and I know her PIN. If she changes it or changes her passwords, I know it. So, but I know there was another app. I think there was actually an old jailbreak that had that built in. So if somebody tried to access your phone, it would actually take a picture and email it to yourself. It would. So if you had lost it somewhere and somebody was trying to get into it, it would actually take a picture
of whoever that was. Yeah, that's not the first time I've ever heard of that technology. So.
Yeah, that's pretty good. So. Well, I mean, if this is your thing, and I'm sure this is more of a young people thing because I don't see anybody that I know would do this. But I mean, I guess this is the new reality we live in now that you're going to be taking these pictures, and so you might as well offer people the protections that they are asking for. They want to have it protected, and I guess you can forget that you took that picture, or if you're at the beach and you were at the nude beach and took a couple shots and you forgot about it. It's Doug, and when you're showing, because how does it always happen? Somebody always takes your phone, right, to look through the pictures of Grandma and Nana's 90th birthday party. It's like, oh, by the way, and all of a sudden they get to the pictures of Cabo, and you're like, oh, okay, that's awkward. Yeah, it's an awkward thing, So yeah, I mean, I get it. It's cool. It serves a market. So
like I said, this is supposed to not send those photos to nude themselves.
You know what? I actually hope if I did this, I'd get this app and do it. You can have all the pictures you want. If you want to look at me, good luck to you. You get what you deserve as far as I'm concerned. And
this is supposed to be possible thanks to Core ML, which is machine learning framework that Apple introduced with iOS 11. So TensorFlow, TENSOR Flow, is supposed to perform a similar function on Android devices. So an Android version of Nude is also in the works.
Of course.
And I think this is it's free to download, 99-cent in-app purchases to, I think it's kind of like a subscription thing.
Right, like a freemium always. Yeah.
So I think you pay like $1 a month maybe to do this.
Okay, well, sure. I mean, hey, what's the cost of doing business, I guess, to have yourself protected from, all those kinds of things. So
some of you might be wondering, well, how did the technology and the artificial intelligence learn to be able to determine nude photos? Good question.
Fantastic
question.
Yep.
Fair question.
Smart question.
So, Chu and Chen, that's their last names, they attempted to use existing open source data sets to detect the nudes, but they found that the results were often inaccurate, especially for people of color. So what they did was they built software to scrape sites like Pornhub for representative images, which eventually amassed a collection of 30 million images. That's a lot of images.
It's Pornhub. You're probably just getting in the door. Probably.
It's going through, flip it over to page.
Well, and here's the thing. I thought it was just videos, right? That's what that is. Is that I guess they took stills of the videos, right?
Just like probably the screen, little thumbnails or whatever.
Oh, okay. Because I was gonna say I didn't think that was a picture thing. No, it's not. Okay, I don't. Okay.
So their algorithm still isn't perfect, but so quote unquote, if you have man boobs, those will be imported and
moobs.
Yeah, moobs.
Yeah, that's what I call it.
But the service will improve over time.
I guess that's one of those things where as more users use it, the algorithm, I guess, gets better, just like anything else, like Cortana or Bing or whatever. I guess it learns, as people use it. It's a little different way to learn, but hey, whatever.
So the founders actually want you to really use this app, and you don't necessarily need to use it for those kinds of sensitive pictures, but you can use it to put photos of your passport, driver's license, and other sensitive documents in there as well. So there you go.
Not just for
supposed to be totally secure, yeah. Use it for the powers of good.
Oh, boy.
The marketing tagline bills it as, quote, the sexiest app ever.
Well, I like the name. It's catchy.
Nude.
Yeah.
Simple.
Straightforward.
Eye-catching.
Well, yeah, depending on who you're looking at.
That's true.
Nude. Okay. Yeah, I'm good. I'm good with that.
Yeah. It is what it is. All right, so it's time for app, entertainment, and hardware picks. First up that I do want to share and let people know, I think we may have mentioned this on a prior episode as well because it was iOS exclusive for a while. Monument Valley 2 is coming to the Google Play Store, I believe, in November. So that's November 6th. So just a few weeks away. So we'll be able to purchase that for a few bucks.
I have the original one on my phone. I think I got to level 5 or 6. It looks pretty. It's beautiful game.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Gorgeous artwork and stuff.
Yeah,
simple. simplistic artwork.
Yeah, I liked it. So, I mean, and I think the one I bought, I think it's free. I was free on Android, so it was kind of like free to play. I'll check it out. I mean, it's a nice little waster of time. It's good. Yeah, it's a beautiful game. I mean, the design is just awesome.
And then we've also talked a little bit about the Han Solo Star Wars standalone film that Ron Howard has taken over as director of. Well, they've released the name of the upcoming film that is going to be available, I believe, May the 25th of 2018, and it is simply titled Solo, A Star Wars Story.
Kind of like Nude. Simple.
Kind of like Nude, yeah.
Yeah, simple, straightforward. I mean, what else?
Simple and explains everything you need to know right there.
What else? Really, what else would you need to call it? I
Right.
mean, I think, I honestly, and this again, just like I said, I'd never heard of it. So I'll actually check it out because I'm into that kind of stuff. So yeah, I kind of like how they're doing the whole Rogue One, the whole.
Then it continues on the traditional Star Wars.
Right, but I mean, just kind of spinning
timeline.
it off and kind of having like a
separate storylines.
Yeah, so
of characters we may or may not know.
Yeah, it's kind of like Mama's Family, and then have spin-offs like All the Family, and you have a spin-off of that, Good Times, like the Jeffersons and those kinds of things. It's kind of cool just to take a specific character and kind of focus on it. And I mean, who doesn't either know or love Han Solo? I mean, come in seriously. I mean, probably one of the most iconic movie characters. Even if you don't know science fiction movies, you've heard of Han Solo.
Yeah.
Just from somebody that said something. So it's just, I mean, I think it'll be a hit. I kind of like how they're doing that. I mean, other people who want to be more kind of, crabby about it was like, oh, they're just capitalizing on it.
Yeah, but as long as it's telling, fairly original story, I think it'll be great. I mean, it's characters that we love, and this is going to be the younger version of Han Solo, and it's going to deal with, his life up to well before he met Luke Skywalker and everybody else. So it's going to have locations like Corellia. I might be pronouncing that wrong, that's Han Solo's home planet, and Kessel, where he made that infamous Kessel Run.
Right.
And so many parsecs or whatever it is.
I just, like I said, I just think it's as long as the stories are compelling, they're where you want to watch them, and it's kind of to see how it takes off, and you can have a little bit of extra content there to make it, it might as well. I mean, I'm looking forward to it. It looks actually pretty cool. I'll wait till a trailer comes out.
It'll be neat to see, how did he meet Chewbacca? Because I don't dive into the Star Wars lore
for folks
know.
like us, we wouldn't know that, but there's probably people, the purists out there. Probably,
this is how he met him, fool.
Yeah, we could tell you. Why would we not go see a movie? It's like, well, it's like comic book movies. They're not for comic book people. Those are for people like me who don't read comic books.
They want the Cliff Note version.
Who wants to see what it would be like if it was a real story. I mean, I'm not, it's like, I'm not a Superman guy, but there's a story about Superman landing in Russia, in Soviet Russia in the 50s. It's called, I mean, that's the kind of stuff you'd want to see. Their comic book movies are not for purists like this. This is for Star Wars purists, for people like you and I that would kind of just get pure enjoyment. Can't we just enjoy a movie anymore, folks?
I know.
Can't we just go to a movie for an hour and a half or 2 hours and just watch it and not have to be so Rotten Tomatoes critical about it? Just sit back, let it take its course. Some of the movies that I heard were terrible. If you just sit back and let them happen, you're like, okay, well, it wasn't exactly the most compelling story, but
I enjoyed it.
It's a movie. It's supposed to give you a little bit of a distraction and be sort of enjoyable. God, calm down, people. Just dial it back a couple notches. Holy cow! Not everything has to be War and Peace and the Grapes of Wrath. It can be just enjoyable. So I think it'll be good. Yeah,
so we've got The Last Jedi coming up in December, and then 5 months later, we've got Solo, a Star Wars story.
Hey, if they keep them coming on like every 6 month clip, and then I guess in there going to be another, I wonder if there's another Rogue One or another kind of that style.
There'll be another standalone film like that.
I think that would be pretty good. So I'm looking forward to it. If they have that kind of a nice little 6 month kind of rotation thing, that'd be kind of nice. Give you some keep you coming back for more kind of thing, right?
Yeah. So production has wrapped on Solo, a Star Wars story. So get ready, it's coming. Next up, for you fans of Lego and you fans of NASA and space, if you've seen the movie Hidden Figures, you realize, you learned just how big a role that women, sometimes even women of African American culture, played a role in NASA throughout its history. So what is really awesome here is that NASA and Lego are teaming up to release a set called The Women of NASA, which is a package that includes NASA pioneers Nancy Grace Roman, Margaret Hamilton, Sally Ride, and Mae Jemison, as well as a space shuttle model with the Hubble telescope and display stands for all. And unfortunately, the Lego set was unable to get Katherine Johnson, who was in Hidden Figures, who calculated and verified launch and landing trajectories for the Mercury and Apollo programs, because something to do with unable to get the licensing agreement or something like in time from Johnson's family.
Well, and I also noticed too that I know this is kind of like there's another exception here that I thought maybe they would have done it is Krista McAuliffe. I was on to see if they would. Probably not. I mean, she was the first,
teacher,
right? I thought
to be going to space,
especially considering the circumstances that happened with the Challenger disaster. Yeah. I thought they would maybe if they come up with something, if they are able to at some point secure a license for
some way to honor her. I mean, yes.
Yeah, just something like that. I think that would be kind of nice if they can get the stuff. The other.
I mean, technically, she didn't make it to space because the Challenger disaster.
Right. But she still was. She was still.
Yeah.
Well, and she's also assigned to an STS, so I think that counts. Even if you didn't get to the ultimate mission, you still are on you're still on a flight. Yeah. I mean, you're still there. I mean, I just thought it'd be kind of nice. I do like this whole thing. I think it's kind of cool to have Lego, and it's really awesome. I think it's celebrating something that is really traditionally overlooked, and it's kind of something that shouldn't be overlooked. I think that's something that needs to have, and I'll be the first to admit it, of giving it a little bit of embarrassment that I actually haven't seen Hidden Figures yet. It's not that I haven't wanted to; it's just life happens. I'm sure I will rectify it this weekend because I will have time.
It's fantastic.
I have heard nothing but awesome stories in this. Even when I saw the movie trailer in the movies, I was like, "Wow, honestly." And I'll tell you right now, I don't know how many people you can maybe confirm or deny it, but I never heard of it.
I hadn't either.
No clue about it.
Nope.
Those are things you aren't talked about in school, and that's the kinds of things you need to talk about because. Yeah, we hear about the John Glenn's and,
Neil Armstrong.
You hear about all that, but then you don't hear always about the supporting cast.
About who got them there.
And from what I understand, this lady was a phenomenally talented mathematician. Mm-hmm. I mean, just like ridiculous. And it's like almost like Stephen Hawking, Einstein levels of calculation ability. Mm-hmm. And the fact that you never heard of her is almost embarrassing.
I don't want to kind of demean what the astronauts did to achieve what they did because that's still... Especially impressive stuff, the training and all that stuff.
Especially back then with what you're dealing with as far as equipment and it was scary stuff.
But the people still had to make the calculations and all that stuff to come up with the technology to get them there.
Right.
To do that. And they're the ones that became famous, not the ones that got them there.
Right. And I think that I'm glad
sad.
And I think they should, and this is, and it's uplifting, not just for, people of color or women or anybody, but just like kids and just in general. It's like, you can actually make it this is a real thing that even now you can do it now because we've kind of hopefully gotten a little bit better about that. But, even back in the 60s when it was really hard for a woman, especially a woman of color, an African American woman to get anywhere in there, to even be considered to be even an intellectual equal is incredible, and just by his sheer force of determination, it's a fantastic. I've heard the story. Mm-hmm. I've had people talk about it, and I want to see the movie, and I think this is great. I mean, this is something that I would, if I had little girls, I would probably buy it.
Yeah, hopefully this Lego set will be under numerous girls' Christmas trees this coming holiday season. I
hope so,
because it'll be available on November the 1st at $25. Which is like nothing
for Lego, especially. This stuff's like gold, man. It's like selling like crack, not the crack. I'm talking about the C crack, not the K crack. I mean,
now granted, these sets are not like huge. I mean, you're getting 4 figurines, which we know how big the Lego figures are. They're pretty small,
right?
And there's not a whole lot of pieces to it, but still, Lego, that's expensive stuff.
It always has been. Even when I was a kid, it was not cheap.
So I think this is going to sell very well, and if it doesn't, shame.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think it's really, really good to do. Last week, we also talked about the giant robot duel between the United States and Japan. So some technology people, they built these humongous robots and stuff out of metal. And
round one fight?
Yeah.
Really? Okay.
Literally pretty wild stuff. And they streamed live on Twitch on Tuesday the 17th. So yesterday, because we're recording this on Wednesday. And the replay is available on YouTube, and I will share a link to that as well. So I watched it today. It was pretty wild watching them do the stuff, but it was kind of not necessarily like Geraldo going for Al Capone's vault.
Right.
Kind of a letdown. It was neat to see, but the hype didn't really.
It wasn't like real
event.
Steel. It wasn't like that.
No.
Well, that's, hey, you know what?
It was a little disappointing, but still really cool to see.
I think the concept is cool. The implementation maybe was a little weak, but hey, I haven't had a chance to watch it yet. So.
And the presentation, and there's part of it towards the end, you're like, really, they're like doing this? I thought I was watching WWE. It's like, gotta be kidding me.
Oh, yeah.
What they're doing. Okay. Yeah, no Randy Savage or nothing like that.
Probably would have made it more enjoyable if they would have thrown the Macho Man in there a little bit. I'm just saying.
Something like that would have probably been cool. Anyway, I'll include that link to the YouTube video in the show notes as well. And last but not least, I was on the radio this week.
Terrestrial radio. Like a
St.
real
Louis.
legit thing.
Yeah, not like, hey, I've recorded some podcast audio stuff
you were
and
actually
sent into the radio station.
50,000 watts live from the from the basement of the science building, right? Okay.
So the large morning show in the afternoon, which here in St. Louis runs from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Thursday afternoons, so Central Time. Frank Opinion has had this radio show for years. He was at the last station he was at for 20 years, and then they recently just moved stations to 590 The Fan, KFNS.
Oh, KFNS. That's
so
right.
it's AM radio, and you can listen live as well, but I can share hour 2. I can share a link to that if anybody would like to hear that. I'm auditioning for their tech segment host that they do for a tech segment on Mondays at 4 p.m.
I think he did. I actually listened not to the live feed because I didn't get a chance. I wasn't driving. I was actually off that day at that time. But I listened to the hour 2. It sounded great. I mean, you sounded like you're natural. You fit in, and you already had that radio voice already. You already have that kind of. It works for you. Me, not so much. But for them, I mean, I listened to that segment, and I thought, the calls you took were pretty good. You handled yourself well. It sounded good. To be fair, I didn't hear the other people, so I really wasn't that interested, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But I think it sounded great. I mean, I hope that's really huge. I really have kind of got like fingers crossed for you to.
So I think he's going to audition 1 or 2 other people because a number of people inquired about that position that came open, and also for the movies and entertainment on Tuesdays.
Right.
So it's just nice to even have the opportunity to reach out to him, because I'd interviewed him on the Who's Who in St. Louis show a couple years ago, so we already had kind of a rapport, and got to play a golf tournament with him and met him at a car dealer here a couple years ago as well. And he's just always been a really nice guy. He's, his mid-late 60s. I think closer to late 60s.
Yeah, I was going to say, because I know he's been around for at least 25, 30 years.
Yeah.
I know when I was a kid. I remember hearing his name when I was like a teenager.
Yeah, since the early, mid-80s.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he's been around in St. Louis for a long time and makes a lot of money. He's really good at what he does, and it was really neat to be able to see that from the inside.
And because you always hear the radio. Because you have to imagine it in your mind, but just actually sit there in the studio to see that.
See him kind of like directing kind of the show while he's still talking, and he's so quick on his feet with what he's talking about and responding to the things, just really super sharp. And I felt, obviously I was nervous going in, because it's like, well, it's one thing to do a podcast now, because I know there's not 10, 20, 30,000 people probably listening live or more.
I'm sure they have a dump, but still, I mean, this is people that are actually listening, driving in cars, driving home, and that listen to Frank Opinion pretty religiously. That you're going to be in their ear, and you're going to be on that. I mean, that's a big deal. I mean, I think it's fantastic. I thought it was awesome. I mean, I would love to get a chance to get on a radio station at one point in my life, but I just don't see it happening. So, awesome. I mean, it's awesome. So we're praying for you. Like I said, we got good vibes going. I even did my duty.
Of sending
some feedback to the show, and he responded like within the next day, which is kind of incredible, because you figure a guy like that's getting lots of emails, and responded personally. Yeah, I mean, I was pretty impressed. I mean, I'd listened to his show before.
Yeah, because that's kind of what it boils down to now, is just the listeners. It's,
right.
Whoever listens in and sends him an email, say, hey, I really liked Kevin's take on the segment, and if it's enough positive and stuff like that. And on the fan page Facebook group for the show, as well as some other people have started a fan page for it. They got their own official Facebook group.
Right.
And they put a poll up, what'd you think of Kevin as the tech segment host? And last I looked, it was like 29-3 in favor.
That's cool.
So that's a nice ratio. I was
going to say,
that.
It's not 50-50. I mean, that's if you had a YouTube video with 29-3, you'd be like, this thing's a success.
It's like, hey, I'll take that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
I would.
Positive.
Might be about 50-50 maybe if I was lucky. Whatever. That's cool. That's okay. No big deal.
It was fun. So this week's beer pick of the week, I really don't have a whole lot, because obviously being trying to go for a gluten-free diet, that kind of knocks out the great majority of beers I'd really be interested in having.
But
Right.
he came by the house,
Yeah.
and I had woodchuck, which is gluten-free.
Lo and behold.
And there you go. So we had a woodchuck amber. They actually have a fall harvest one that's out. I guess obviously it's seasonal. It kind of has like a little apple pie thing going on. It's really good.
Like now, a little cinnamony spice to it.
Yeah, I don't even think it's cinnamon, really. It's just kind of like an apple pie, almost like an oaky kind of thing going on. Again, I'm a beer novice. I drink very little. I mean, obviously Brad is into the IBUs and the notes and all that. I don't, I'm not into that. I like it. It tastes good. So the amber, and I've kind of been a woodchuck fan before, and I understand it's a cider ale, so the beer purists are going to be, they're going to make fun. Whatever, I don't care.
It's still 5%.
It's still 5%, and it's good. So yeah, and it's gluten free because you were I even asked what do you want to drink? He said, oh, just like water. I was like, well, I got a beer, gluten free. Like, nope.
Do I have something for you?
I got something that's going to wet your whistle. Check it out. Gluten-free. I even showed you the label. So, yeah. So, and that's a good thing. So, for other people who are having that same issue, that are either because of medical reasons have to go gluten-free or just going gluten-free,
or you've never given ciders an opportunity.
I would say give it a try because and it's not an Angry Orchard thing. I think it's honestly, I think it's kind of the original like cider. I think it's one of the few when I was starting to.
It's from like 1991.
Yeah, it's an older one. So I think I think they kind of, I don't want to say maybe they didn't kick it
pioneered.
Off, but yeah, I mean that's one of the few ones I know that's from the Angry Orchard and Red's Apple and all that other kind of stuff. So if you ever get a chance, it's usually pretty reasonably priced.
Pretty common, yeah.
I think I got dispatched for I think it was $7.99 for 6. It wasn't too bad.
Sounds
but
about right.
Yeah, so yeah, check it out. Woodchuck, if you're already a fan, try it. And if you're into a gluten-free diet, you got a natural home with that beer. So it's pretty
you don't
good.
just have to have wine.
No, and we can. I'm not saying anything. I mean, trust me, we don't discriminate around here when it comes to alcohol.
There you go.
So, but
I was really impressed. Like, oh, okay, I can actually have something while I'm here.
Yeah, I think even cool. I took it. I think you let Jamie know about it. So,
I sent my wife a picture of it. She's like, "Did you like it?" I was like, "Yeah, I've had woodchuck in the past. I just never thought it would be a gluten-free option."
Right, and I think they all are. I believe. I'm not 100% sure.
Imagine. I mean, it's apple cider, so
not
with
bad.
alcohol, good stuff.
I think so.
So I do want to take a quick moment to thank you for filling in for Brad yet again.
My pleasure. I always love. I mean, I actually get up for this kind of stuff. I really do. I really like talking about tech, and I know I'm not like Brad. I'm a little bit more energetic, a little bit more talkative, a little bit speedier. But I like it. If I can fill in anytime, it's an honor for me. I really enjoy it.
And the thing with this recording is I'm going to have to edit myself more than I have to edit you.
Really? Yeah.
I made some mistakes tonight.
Yeah, but it's okay. But I mean, I think there's no dump here, and I think it's okay. I mean, that makes me feel a little better because
little less. See, I'm doing it again. A little less nervous.
Yeah,
see, and I'm going to be the one that might be on the radio here. Isn't that weird?
I think it's because I'm in my own house. I think that's what it is. I think we're hanging out.
We're not in the studio.
We're not in the studio. We're Casa di Ventimiglia. It's my house. So
I think before at the studio, I think you kind of wanted to be a little bit more quieter.
Right.
Because you now you're talking like normal.
Yeah.
Whereas before you're
this is
same
normal.
pace,
yeah.
But I think your tone whenever we were at the studio, you're a little more quieter.
Well, and I think too I think it's just because I really didn't. This is now I guess probably maybe the fourth
or fifth
time I've been on, and now that I kind of know a little bit, I feel a little more comfortable in my skin, and also being at home too, but also just kind of having more of an understanding of the format and kind of getting some practice. I don't feel as kind of antsy.
Little relaxation.
Speaking. Yeah, it's good. So
if I didn't have over 200 and some odd podcast episodes under my belt, I probably wouldn't have been as comfortable on the radio.
Oh no, I
would have been really locking up.
No, I think you would have probably freaked out. I mean, just because having a mic, you're used to having a mic, and you're used to a studio environment, especially having the experience you did. I think to have that. I think you had actually kind of a leg up on everybody to have that experience. I think that helps. Just with your natural ability, I think having that little bit of polish definitely helps.
The one nice thing that he did repeatedly say was the fact he's like, "You're just too relaxed for this right now. I'm not used to people coming in here all relaxed."
They're a little awestruck.
Because they might write in and say, I'd like to be a part of the show in some way, shape, or form. And they'll come in and they just freeze.
Well, they're blown away. I mean, because it's I think you realize what kind of an opportunity it is. I mean, you're broadcasting to literally tens of thousands of people, hundreds of thousands of people at the same time. I mean, that's a big deal. So, yeah, I think your podcasting experience really helps out, but also just, I think you have a natural tact for it. Whereas me, I would have to really kind of dial it in and coach and learn and kind of, for you, it just comes a little bit more naturally with your demeanor and voice. And I
think I do already talk a little slower. And that's one thing he did say, be a little more energetic. He's like, I don't know if it's just kind of a tech person thing because I haven't figured that part out yet.
Right. And then you said there was another person that was ahead of you that was kind of the same kind of a little bit more kind of
yeah, I mean, the person
I guess low energy. I don't want to say in a bad way, but just kind of dialed down a little bit maybe.
And the person that had auditioned for the Tuesday entertainment movie review segment, he came in last Tuesday and he was literally sweating, they said. Like literally.
Wow. I don't know if that's a good look.
I don't think so.
No, I don't think you want to come into that kind of situation and do that. But yeah, I heard it. I listened to it. And do yourself a favor if you're listening to this. Take some time if you're driving to work or whatever it's about. I think the segment was about, 40.
Roughly 40 minutes.
Yeah, there was a commercial in there, so I just went past all that stuff. I don't care about St. Louis local commercials. I could care less about that.
And actually, I think you all will enjoy the show as it is.
Yeah, if you happen to be.
Just
I think
potty humor.
Yeah. Well, there's a... You want to tell him the one? Yeah, there was a one. I'll let you tell him because you were there. It was
the one person called in and he wanted to kind of not go off, but just talk about something about the Boy Scouts and stuff like that because he was taking his kids, boys, Cub Scouts around selling popcorn because that's one of the things that the Cub Scouts sell. So Frank said, talking about Girl Scouts sell cookies and Boy Scouts sell popcorn.
I guess that must be kind of new because I don't remember Boy Scouts.
No, they've been doing that.
Really?
They were at least doing that when my kids were doing it.
Okay. Well, I never had a boy, so maybe that's probably why.
And then the discussion kind of turned into, Cub Scouts to Boy Scouts, and then it goes brownies to cadets.
I think it actually
goes
Pixies, Scouts. Then brownies, then
something like that.
Yeah, so Pixies because I remember having little girls.
Anyway, Dan Strauss came in. He kind of imparted his little... Did his little part to try to be funny. He said, well, I got kicked out of Cub Scouts for eating too many brownies.
It's just like, I was sitting at home listening to it going, oh my God. This is not XM, okay? This isn't Sirius. This is St. Louis terrestrial AM radio. Yeah. And I'm like, wow, can you imagine if that was said in any, oh man, the FCC was probably like,
and Frank's response was perfect. Like,
yeah.
That's not funny.
No.
That guy just called in his kids in the car.
Right.
And you're talking about that kind of stuff.
I mean, totally put him on blast. It was awesome. But just in such a deadpan, he's like, what are you doing? That's not appropriate.
If you've never listened to the show, you don't realize that's just normal. That's how the show goes.
It's just banter.
That's why I love the show so much. It can be not necessarily like Howard Stern raunchy.
No.
Howard Stern good old days raunchy.
No, yeah, not now. But
it's tamed down, obviously. It's just good, funny humor, not meant to offend anybody.
Right.
But people do get offended.
Yeah, it's a little crude, but I mean, it's crude in a way that's, it shouldn't like, one of those crudes where you go, whoa, wow, okay, wow. It's getting a little warm in here. Well, that had a little zing. That one had a little zing on it. Wow, okay, folks. Yeah.
I kind of turned and I was like, whoa.
Yeah. That happened, right? Yes. That's a legit thing. I said that.
I expected. Okay. I just kind of like responded that way, just again playing part of the show.
Right, you were kind of rolling in with the way the format and the stick. Right. You're kind of just going with the format. And that was another thing too. I like that too, and I'm glad you mentioned that. You didn't feel like you were just like they're doing their thing and you're off this little side. You were actually integrated into the show. You actually had good timing. You knew when to get in, when to get out, when to make the
listened to the show for over 10 years. I know the show.
Whereas me, I've listened to Frank Opinion a little bit, but I don't know a lot of that and how that dynamic works. Mm-hmm. But the fact that you kind of seamlessly kind of sat in and you didn't seem like, wow, he seems awkward or out of place or doesn't know where to kind of get in.
Yeah.
That involves a lot of coordination and timing, especially for a team of folks that have been doing it for years.
Yeah, it'd be tough for somebody that's never listened to the show to just walk in and be a part of that show.
Well, I don't think they would even apply.
Probably not.
No, but yeah, I think that was another thing too. Not only did you sound good, but you had that timing. You knew how to get in, make the comment like, oh boy, or subtly, but you got it in there, and you seem like you were just honestly. If I weren't knowing any better, I would think you're part of the show.
Yeah,
and that's I think a big deal. I think that's going to be.
And then Dan had also said something else about something with computer related, and I said, why isn't Dan just doing the tech segment?
Yeah. Yeah, since you're the tech guy, why do we need this dude? I mean, really, we get this guy coming here to waste our time. I mean,
Dan's over here. Why not just
raising up, eating brownies, and being all tech savvy? I mean, what's going on? So
it was fun, great time. Hope everybody enjoys the listen to that. Again, I'll put a link in the show notes for that episode as well. And I definitely recommend you guys subscribe to the podcast. Like I said, it's hilarious.
Yeah.
I
am actually,
so funny.
As soon as we get done with this recording, I'm gonna get it set up because and if you had a chance to listen to it, if you're in St. Louis or you can get the feed, listen to Kevin's hour 2 bit.
Yeah.
I think you'll be impressed. I think he did a really bang up job, and all the world for him. Hopefully, he can get locked in and it'd be good. I think it'd be a really
nice
good
weekly
thing for
little segment.
Oh, absolutely.
Bring a little more
and you don't know what's
awareness.
and then also you don't know what's going to happen. I mean, that could spur into a whole bunch of things. Remember, the door, all it's got to do is crack a little bit.
All right.
If you can kick it off the hinges, man, so much the better. So whatever.
And then I also want to thank Daryl Pritchard for inviting 100 and some odd people
I
to
think
the
I
Facebook
counted. It was like
community.
443 people. I think is what it looked like. It was a ton of folks.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow. I was like,
I got on there one day on Facebook and it said, so many people are waiting. I'm like, 100 and so what?
Yeah.
Where are all these people come from? Like, added by Daryl Pritchard, added by Daryl Pritchard.
Right.
I'm like, this is awesome.
well, it's, because Daryl, he's bringing the noise, bringing the funk.
He does.
And
That's Daryl. That's why we love him.
That's why I love the guy. I mean, Daryl, I mean, from the bottom of my heart, man, he's like one of my favorite people to talk to because he's like me, although he's a little bit more, I think he's actually a little bit more insane than me. In a good way. Not like, like crazy, like eating people insane, but like, like engaged, and he's passionate and he's like opinionated and it's no holds barred. And people like that, I'm all about it, man. Let it out there. And he's a good dude. I love Daryl to death. He hooked me up one time with a subscription to for my office thing, and he did a good job. So I looked up. I was like, whoa, we got a lot more engagement.
Yeah.
And just from one guy. So I mean,
yeah, I do sincerely appreciate that. It was fantastic, and hopefully, it's going to introduce the podcast to a lot of those because I know the great majority of them people have never listened to this as well.
Right.
So it can help spur some more discussions on the Facebook community and the group, and I think it was fun.
Yeah, it's a good time. I mean, hey, the more the merrier. The like-minded folks, and even people who aren't like-minded. I like hearing from anybody. If we can get more engagement, it's awesome. Yeah, and thanks, Daryl. Love your face.
Yeah,
and and hopefully I'll see you on the. I'll be actually that might be a Facebook. I actually get because I get notifications. I'm gonna dive in there and try to start getting a little more active with it because I'm just usually not really that kind of guy.
Yeah. He invited me to come down to Dallas on November 22nd, and we go riding around in Dealey Plaza in a convertible.
I was gonna say November 22nd. Wow, holy jeez, man. I might actually. You know what? I might just come down to Dealey Plaza with you. I might just tag along.
And I did say, I'm like, well, can you wear the pink dress and hat?
Can we get the same one now instead of museum? Okay, well that's a little awkward. We're not gonna do that. So maybe like a pink bunny suit. That'd be cool.
There you go.
Well,
like Ralphie from Christmas Story.
I think it'd be a little bit more appropriate, wouldn't you? We probably can't get the actual dress, and I think maybe cross dresses. I don't know. I'm not. No judgment here. It's 2017. I'm not gonna judge. I'm just saying, but could be a thing. I don't know. If he wears mascara, I don't know about that. It's a little awkward. So.
Yes. So again, if you have not, please take a moment. If you do like the show and you like the things we talk about, come on and jump in to the discussion over at the Facebook group Tech Informist Community. That's how you can find it, just in the search box on Facebook. Tech Informist Community. It's growing fast.
Leaps and bounds.
Yeah, I wish I had a few hundred people I could just
I don't even know
casually
5 people.
invite.
I actually try to invite some of the people from when I went in my Boston. From the guy's like, I'm not listening to that crap. It wasn't because of us. He's just like, why would anybody let you talk on anything? I don't know. I'm not sure. I haven't figured it out yet. But at this point, he's letting me keep showing up, so I'm not going to look a gift horse in the mouth. But I couldn't even get the 2 people that I know wouldn't even listen to it religiously because they're just like, sticks in the mud, whatever. So, but yeah.
Ben, the PC guy Rudolph, he's in the group now as well.
Okay, cool.
I believe Daryl invited him, or at least let him know about it. And he popped in, said hey, and
cool.
Jez Corden from Windows Central. He's
Jez,
also,
huh?
yeah.
I did not see that. Wow, we're getting. I mean, if we get Dan Rubino in here, what do you think?
Wouldn't that be something?
Wouldn't it be something?
No.
Let's do it. I'm gonna put it. I've been a big fan of his. I like Jazz. I think I liked all that group. They're a good group of guys.
It is. The Mobile Nations group, still always in my heart. Good guy.
Yeah.
Group of guys.
Solid
and
guys.
gals.
And actually know their stuff.
Oh,
that's
yeah.
what I like. I mean, they're actually knowledgeable, and I like that. I mean, instead of just listening to some of these podcasts I've tried to listen to, I go, oh God, I get about 5 minutes in, I go, I can't do it.
Jerry Hildebrand and Richard Devine, I believe, are 2 of my favorite guys from that group. They're just fantastic.
Yeah, there's a good group of dudes. So hopefully, we get some of those on, and now that it's all good, man. Let's grow out more. I'm going to try to get in a little bit more involved in the group. So comments, criticisms, throw me shade, Call me names. I don't care. If they
Give Sam some feedback.
just give me some
today.
feedback, even if it's negative. I'll even take negative feedback because remember, it's always constructive criticism, right?
So thanks everybody for listening. This has been a slightly longer than usual episode, but hey, it's okay. It's fun. We weren't running out of things to say. We could just keep going, but we'll keep it a little bit.
Well, plus, you kind of hijacked it with the radio thing. You kind of took like 20 minutes for that.
I can't help it. I gotta pat myself on the back for something.
Hey, you know what?
I usually don't have much to pat myself on the back.
No, this one I think it's all. Yeah, we did good. So hopefully we didn't bore you too bad. But yeah, Kevin, props. Good luck to you.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes.
I think it'll be okay.
I think it'll be fun. All right, so that does it for this episode, which was, again, 193 of the Tech Informist podcast. This is Kevin. That's Sam. We're out.
Good day. Be good. Stay safe.